Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Postgame show. And I think that pretty well, yeah. And joining me is Tony the Calf. What can I,
Nah.
meh, you know, I think that what I'm going to say at this point, I might as well say it because it's true. And truth is more important to me than anything else. That's that Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback on the roster. And that'll tell you exactly how bad a shape the Browns are in. But officially, Jameis Winston has become the worst quarterback that I've ever seen play in Cleveland. And it's not even close now. I've never seen somebody who just is self-destructive and can't stop making mistakes. He's not going to be anywhere in the league next year where he's going to see the field, and that's that. You're going to start DTR for the rest of the season, and he is in no way, shape, or form ready to play NFL football. He's going to get hurt between now and the end of the season. I guarantee you, because he's so small, and he doesn't have an arm. So, what I'm saying is they're not going to bring Jameis Winston back. That is a certainty. He's gone. They've had enough of him and his Bible quoting bullshit. They've had enough of him. And he's more aggravating than Deshaun Watson, if you can believe that. He's the most aggravating player I've ever witnessed in a Cleveland uniform at quarterback. Not even close. He's not coming back. And the thing is, Deshaun Watson isn't going to be ready to come back, but he's contractualized, so he will be back, whether he's on a boat with Jill and Ace eating, pasta or whatever the fuck he's doing. He will be back. But DTR is not going to go anywhere. He's not even a backup quarterback. So basically, it's like being in a room, you're Jimmy Haslam, and somebody is squeezing the oxygen content out of the room, and you're slowly suffocating to death. That's what the Browns organization is. It's dead. It will be dead for years. And I've been trying to explain this to people. There is no way out of the bad decision making in the front office and the owner. There is none. There's no way out. There's no quick way out. There is no way to salvage the mistakes that were made. We'll bring Bronk in. Hi, Bronk.
I was asleep.
So. Yeah, well, you were better off there than here.
Yeah, exactly.
So
how bad was it?
Oh, well 21-7, and that wasn't nearly as bad as what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and Coach Wilson says, but I was told this team is one quarterback away from being a Super Bowl team, and that they have the right process.
You're lied to, Coach Wilson.
Yeah, honestly, that is all part of the delusion of Jimmy Haslam, the front office, and everybody involved with the organization. And they bullshit people. They steal from people. They are dishonest. And, what can I tell you? Dee Podesta's incompetent. Andrew Berry's a money manager, but he's not a talent assessor. And Jimmy Haslam's a flat-out con man. So that's what you got. And, of course, they're going to tell you this and tell you that. But nothing has ever passed the eye test with this organization. You look at the years they've been back since 99 when they came back. And all of the losing seasons, they'd have one winning season and then go on a tirade of like 6 losing seasons, and that's where we are now. There's going to be 5 death records. They're going to be the worst team in football, like they were with Hugh Jackson. That's what's going to happen. They're going to start out the season with Kevin Stefanski. He's going to lose. He's going to have a very bad start to the season. They're going to let him go and bring in an interim coach, and it's the way it always works. And it'll just be many, many years of hardship. And, whoever is still left standing amongst the fans, those will be the fans. I'm not going to be there for it because I don't have it in me. They're really bad. And the thing about being really bad is that it's one thing to be just, lacking in talent. I get that. But they're addled in the brain. The players are low intelligence players. The coaches can't coach them to do the right thing. They line up in the wrong places. They can't catch punts. They bring up the slowest people that they can put out on the field for special teams. They grab people in front of officials and get penalties called on them. This is the worst Browns team that I've seen since the beginning of the comeback. And of course, the Hugh Jackson years, where the team was bereft of spirit. Now the team is bereft of spirit, and that's what we have ahead of us. But why anybody would want to sit through that, I'm really not sure. Yeah. And again, you free Myles Garrett, you free Denzel Ward, you let them play for football teams, let them play in the NFL and not get their bloody asses beaten in the NFL. Let them have careers and just bring up whatever shit players you want to bring up. You just keep on playing Elijah Moore, and it doesn't make any sense. Elijah Moore, I don't understand. You can tackle him with one finger. I've never seen him get positive yardage after anything. He never makes it to the corner. He gets knocked down with one arm. He's inescapable. He's slow. He's got bad hands, and there he is out on the field constantly. We don't have good players. We've squandered the limited opportunity that we had, and now this is what's in front of us, where we're going to bring the always positive David Zalewski on. Hi, David.
Hello, Mo.
Hi. So, to sit there and try to analyze this is foolishness. And then the old jokes, this is what will chase me away from this show forever. So keep it up. I don't know where you're going to go. You can pester someone else.
I thought you weren't doing a show this week anyway. So,
again, by my nature, I'm not a quitter, but I have to recognize that whatever it is that viewers want, I can't give them. I can't sit here and tell you that the Browns have a quarterback to bring back next year. I'm not going to sit there and say, bring back Jameis Winston or give DTR a chance. They're not good enough players. And, I'm not going to speculate on whether Deshaun Watson is going to be back or not, because quite honestly, the degree that he is injured, there's nothing left of him anyway.
They reported, there are reports out they're going to trot him out there again next year.
Yeah, I saw that. That's Mary Kay Cunt. And you know something? I don't have time. This is what people want today. They want CNN, Fox, Newsmax. They want people, ABC, George Stephanopoulos having to pay Donald Trump $15 million for saying he's a rapist when he didn't rape somebody. There's no legal evidence that he raped anybody. Why would you say that? And the answer is ratings, ratings, ratings. It gets the advertising. And the new generation of Americans, which I can't relate to, really want to hear that kind of hate speech as far as about one another. That's what they're into. And there is no news. There's just spin. There's propaganda. And anybody who told you that what's her name, who ran for president, had a chance to win was just lying to you all along. And I knew that in the last month of the campaign. Anybody who had a brain knows that. But whatever it is that people want, I can't give it, because I'm not going to sit there and, and just pander that way. It's the problem with the Browns, you know where it's coming from, because it's come from every owner that we've had. The first learner died. The second learner
might as well have been dead.
Well, he was brain dead. And then, you have this
D and
nut.
Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah. And, right before he comes in, he's got to settle a problem with not paying his customers. It's unreal how this organization consistently ends up with Dwight Clark as a general manager, or ends up with Chris Palmer as a head coach. It's like unbelievable. They have all these choices, and that they always choose the wrong people. And Kevin Stefanski's, stuck. He's in a situation where he can't just quit, because if he quits, he'll never get another job in the NFL. So he has to sit and wait until his time comes. And he will, next season, get off to a slow start, and they will fire him. It's what they did to Sam Bertigliano. It's what they've done to every one of their coaches. When they're not to blame, it's the lack of talent. And that's where we're at right now.
Oh, the NFL's definitely going to load up our schedule with a load of playoff teams in the first 2 months. Absolutely.
Well, I hope they do, and I hope we're 0-16 for the next 5 years.
I think there's will be.
Or 0-17. I'm sorry.
0-16 would be an improvement.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, anything bad that happens to Jimmy Haslam is good, because there's no reason to cheer for it. I mean, it's foolish.
Well, he can't live forever. He's in the 70s.
Yeah, and and again, no. I mean, it's really incredible. The fans are stuck in a box. You don't have a quarterback. Box. You're going to end up having to resuscitate some dead body, some corpse, and don't be surprised if they decide they're going to try to talk to Joe Flacco now that they dumped on him. That would be like Jimmy, Hey, I'm sorry now that I shit canned you. Woo! I didn't talk to you during the offseason. Woo! Yo, come on back now. You hear?
Chubb broke his foot.
Yeah, well, look. Did I tell you that when I saw him working out, saw him working out, that he was favoring one leg?
Huh?
Now, is that the knee that was worked on, or the opposite side?
I have no idea.
He's in a walking
that out
boot
for me.
He's in a walking boot in crutches, per everybody.
Oh man, he should never have been brought back.
Well,
I
it's
kept
over
saying
for him,
that.
But look, every story has to have an end, and for him, that was the end. I mean, a lot of people thought the end came in college. When he had it done the first time, and this time the odds were astronomical against him. And I hope that there's no way that you can have multiple procedures that are major, multiple reconstructions without having a flaw in your stride. I can tell you from having a knee replacement that that is really what Nick Chubb should do. He should have a knee replacement and stop playing football, because he's probably made enough money. He was a great player and a great teammate, and you could see that he was a step slow. He couldn't get to the hole, and when you end up with a non-contact injury, which is what happened to him, if he broke his foot by just trotting forward, then that thing was going to go at any minute. And it's probably because he was planting on that in such a way that it's uneven, and he was putting too much without even knowing it. You do this without knowing it. It's funny. I'll tell you a story that I think has a lot to do with how the mind works after injury. I got my right knee replaced back in the end of 2018. But it's my left leg that is weaker than my right, because I am because I have an arthritic condition in my left leg, and my gait was altered. And so what I've done is I've just started riding a trike, but with a lesser motor, and building up both my legs and doing it without the, if I'm walking wrong, then I'll cycle and strengthen my legs that way. But the problem when you're trying to come back to football is you got to hop step, you got to cut, you got to jump, you got to do a whole bunch of things. And if your mind is telling you that knee is still wrecked up, it's going to compensate. And this sounds like a compensation injury to me. So it doesn't matter when it heals, it's over. His career's over.
Yeah, he's done.
Which needed Chubb blowout? Was that the right knee or the left knee?
That's what I was asking. Off the top,
it's a broken left foot.
Yes,
I think that's the one. That was his knee. I think that was the knee that was broken as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody in the chat room, if you could answer the question.
50-50, guys. So
yeah,
was
the reconstruction surgery done on Chubb's left knee or right knee? And if anybody can look that up for me, I'd be greatly appreciative, because I can't be Googling things while I'm doing a live program. But one guy is one guy. And LaHooper, thanks for the word on this. Nice seeing you again. But the spirit of the team is broken. And it's not because of Nick Chubb. I'm not linking those two things. It's just the end. And these guys give their bodies to whatever cause.
Oh, it was his left knee. It was his left knee.
Pretty sure it was left knee, but not 100% sure.
Yeah. And, and again, compensation injuries, you overload things and you just aren't strong the way you were once strong. And you're trying to plant a foot, cut off it, hop, step, jump kinds of work. And the years of playing football, body just breaks down. Maybe now people will start understanding what I have been saying in the last couple of programs, and making concrete examples of what I would do if I were the general manager of the team, because there's no other way to go but do an immediate stoppage as far as, pretending that you can be a competitive football team right now. You lose big in a hurry, and do it for a couple of years, because that's how long it's going to take. You build up as many draft pick choices as you can by trading off the talent, but the Denzel Wards, the Myles Garretts, and the David Njokus, and whoever has value, and you just get a bunch of draft picks. You get rid of DePodesta. You bring in a football czar, a person who is a knowledgeable person who knows the draft process and the assessment of how to structure and put a team and a roster together, and you bless that person with a bunch of draft picks and get them done right. Because right now, the people you have in there, you could just go ahead and give them all the draft picks in the world, and they will just continue to draft Anthony Schwartz. They'll keep drafting the wrong people. So you need to get rid of those people, and you've got to bring in a team that is a proven commodity, that are football people, not mathematics people, that are football people. And that's pretty well.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you, but that can go wrong too. I mean, one of the last things that Randy Lerner did was he brought in Mike fucking Holmgren and his fucking wheelchair.
Well, Holmgren didn't want to do a job. He wanted to ride around on a golf cart. And
he was supposed to be a czar, but he never did the job.
No, he was the guy who didn't want to coach anymore. And so he wanted a title. And that was the problem with that. And, no, you're not ever going to see a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, William, but you're right with me. That's sometimes the way it works. Sometimes it goes better depending on when you happen to be alive. So,
I agree with you.
And Jeffrey, we know it's just the you
Merry
gotta
Christmas.
Yeah, you gotta just clean the slate, and you gotta get rid of the problems within the organization, and that is the people who are the draft room that you have, and the general manager that you have. I don't care how good with money he is; he's not a talent assessor. You got to load that organization with talent assessment and just get as many draft picks as you can. And it's going to be like being the expansion Browns all over again. I'm sorry, but it's the only way. But it's like, do you want to pull off the Band-Aid real quick, or do you want to just keep nursing it and keep bleeding? And that's really where we're at, is that Jimmy Haslam is just constructing a slow bleed, and things are getting worse. The patient's dying. And, he's perplexed. And while he's perplexed, the whole thing's gone down the shitter.
Well, he has no self-awareness whatsoever, because otherwise he'd realize he is the problem. So
he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And again, if that's what you want for Christmas, Vrabel's a defensive coach. He knows nothing about offense. And he would get effort out of players, yes, but and fire everyone. The head coach can't fire everyone because Jimmy Haslam will block that. And, Andrew Berry has already been claimed safe, and so has Kevin Stefanski. And Jimmy has put his foot down, and that's going to be the case. And so we waste another year, and halfway through the year, these people will be fired. It's just a matter of time. I've worked for people like Jimmy Haslam. I know how it works. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And there is no turnaround. There will be a one season with just out of sheer luck, they'll come back and do something. But, what they had with Baker Mayfield, and I think one of the reasons why fans are mistaken, they mistakenly believe that Baker Mayfield's a really good quarterback, is because if I went back and started looking at the 2000 season and looking at all the games, because everything is online, you go to YouTube, you can find the games, and their ability to run the football and run play action was very convincing, because Baker Mayfield was undersized quarterback, kind of carrying a little bit more weight than he should have, and not being real fast of foot. But you had
to the ball.
Yeah. But the whole thing was they had that two-headed running hydra, and you had Chubb and you had Hunt, and it was very hard not to bite on the play action fake. And that made Baker Mayfield a better quarterback, as a running game like that in that system would make a quarterback a better looking quarterback. We don't have that today. We have no running game. We have no offensive line left. It's really,
sad.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of good things. And something, Jerome Ford could run in a straight line real fast, but he has no vision. And that's the problem, is that he's indecisive, and he cuts the wrong way a vast majority of times and runs back into traffic, and, I don't know. And again, I don't know what that does for you. It's obvious that the people have to be replaced because there's nothing working right now, but you got to change the whole concept. The whole concept is obviously not, it's just ill-advised. And as for Jameis Winston, I put this up on Twitter. I will say it out loud. He is a worse quarterback than Deshaun Watson by far. By far. He's the worst quarterback I've seen in Cleveland. This is unbelievable. I'm going back to guys like Garcia and people like that. Jameis Winston is the most delusional and gives you the least chance to win close games of any quarterback I have ever seen in my life. And this is what I thought about him before he came to Cleveland. So,
Stefanski's done with him too.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? You pull him out because he's got, his head's up his ass. He could have run the football so many times in the first half, and instead he just keeps staring downfield and getting run down from behind, and it's so easy to get stripped that way. He's throwing balls that are not accurate, that are just thrown right into traffic. He had 3 more interceptions. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. He's worse than Johnny Manziel. He's the worst quarterback I've ever seen because he breaks the spirit of a team, praise the Lord, more than any guy because he makes so many mistakes. And then he apologizes and forgives himself and goes out and does it again and again. It's really bad. It makes you not want to watch at all. So
who was responsible for signing him then? Was it Andrew Berry's idea, Deep Podesta? Who the fuck?
By the time you get to that, you're just scouring the waiver wire. I mean, you're just trying to find somebody who is there who can come in and play. And they happen to get fortunate with Joe Flacco last year because he had some good games left in him. But then in the end, he turned into a pumpkin at midnight, because he's an old guy. And so that's what you're going to get. And Deshaun Watson, coming off ACL surgery, this guy was never the same as he was in Houston when he came to Cleveland. Yes, Jimmy Haslam got built, which in one respect is fair. And, I wish it would happen to him over and over again. And I wish somebody would punch him in the face as well. But the bottom line is he can continue to make these types of mega $1 million mistakes and still make a massive profit. And, if you don't get that, then you're slow. If you think that this is about winning, you're slow. You're retarded. You're dumb. You have a low IQ. It has nothing to do with winning. It has to do with making money. And it doesn't matter what Jimmy Haslam does. He got himself from being a minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers to being in charge of the Cleveland Browns and the owner of that team. And now he sits in that chair and nobody's going to move him out of that chair. And no matter what decisions he makes, the money is going to fly at him. And we'll have more 0-17 kinds, 1-16 kinds of seasons because he's proven he can do it before and he'll do it again. And that's that. So there's 2 teams you can cheer for, the Guardians or the Cavaliers. And I would urge you to at least cheer for the Cavaliers because they are winning. And the Guardians won last year. They did a good job based on what they have. And you know what the Dolans are going to do because they can't afford payroll. But there is no excuse for Jimmy Haslam because he has all the payroll in the world. He's got all the money to spend in the world, and he's just daft. He doesn't have a clue. So there you have it. So I'm going to let me see. Right, Wable. Yeah, it is unbelievable, isn't it? And of course, DTR steps right up with one. They got nothing. Team's got nothing. We all just want the season to end. This is like the season in which I have given up. And the one thing I always said was 22 years in running. I don't care about that anymore. I don't want to watch this. I got too many things, as you get older, it's like, well, my health and well-being, there are other things I can do on a Sunday besides sitting my fat ass on a sofa and watching this nonsense. It's just irritating. And, and to try to make sense of it, you can't because the only sense you can make out of it is that Jimmy Haslam is here to make money, and he doesn't care what the product is that he puts on the field. Now, Dan Gilbert cares about the product that he puts on the court. And the Dolans, even though they don't have the payroll to compete in Major League Baseball, they have a
bit of pride,
principle that, hey, we can put what we have in pitching and try to keep these games close and try to develop some players in the minor leagues that we can bring up, and hopefully that'll get it done. That's Tampa Bay Rays ball. And that's what they've been doing. At least there's a plan, and it occasionally works, by God. I mean, everyone said, well, when Francona left, well, Vogt came in and did pretty damn well. And next year is next year. It's not last year, and things will be different, I'm sure, because, you can only have a hot streak for so long. You do need talent eventually to win, and the Guardians, unfortunately, have to get rid of what talent they will have if it doesn't produce in the way that they had hoped it would. And Jimenez just didn't. He didn't produce offensively, and they couldn't afford to pay $107 million to a guy who hits 252 and statistically hits weaker ground balls than virtually anyone in the league. They couldn't stick with it. So at least they have a plan. They just don't have the money. But Haslam has all the money, and he has no plan. He has to be talked into analytics by a baseball guy, and he believes him. He just doesn't know what he's doing. And it's too bad.
Perplexing.
Oh,
go Cavs, so.
Yeah, well, Jimmy will never blame Jimmy. That's what it amounts to. He's never gonna, he forgives himself instantly. It has nothing to do with him, although he's the one consistent thing. Go through coaches, go through quarterbacks, go through receivers, go through running backs, go through defensive coordinators, go through offensive coordinators.
Kickers,
it's always him.
Wide receivers.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
It's always him. Yeah,
exactly. Did we try a field goal today at all? Did we have
goals?
I mean, every time we'd get the ball on the other side of the field, Winston would turn it over like he always does.
Wow. I'll watch the 5-minute highlights or 10-minute highlights.
Riley Patterson didn't need to worry about having his psyche broken. He never had a chance.
Wow. Right, exactly. And here's another thing that, it was proven, I mean, 30, 40, 50 years ago, that Winston's cause cancer. Lung cancer.
Yeah, but they taste good like a cigarette should.
And I don't want that guy around because the fans are going to start dying of lung cancer. All right. This is my RFK Jr. take. We got to get rid of him because we're all going to get lung cancer.
We need a vaccine against Brown's fever.
Yeah, God. And let's see what William's saying. You remember our playoff game was the beginning of the end. Our playoff game has been the way we played the whole season. Yeah, it was the same. Last year was a one-off. It has nothing to do with the team, and anyone who would sit there and say, well, this is going to be our Super Bowl year, they're just delusional. I don't know what they're looking at.
Oh, last year was a freak
Super
show.
Bowl, maybe.
Yeah, God almighty. Hey, Moo, I'm always on different accounts. Thanks for doing these shows. Hey, Spartanburg, my old stomping grounds. I was up in Landrum, South Carolina, which was about 40 miles from Greenville. I didn't get much into Spartanburg because, unless I was slumming. I'm sorry, You're from Spartanburg. I'm just kidding. But really, that's kind of the way it was looked at down there. That Greenville was the upscale place. The Spartanburg was always kind of a hard scrabble area. I enjoyed my time in South Carolina. I met a lot of interesting people there. Bring back Mike Pettin. All the names that come back.
Pat Shermer, fuck it.
Pat Shermer.
Yeah, and again, if Kevin Stefanski is going to coach the team, it has to be a run first kind of team. Yeah. They have to be a power football team with tight ends and running backs, but they don't have a running back. Jerome Ford is not good enough, and Chubb is done, and Pierre Strong wouldn't even make a roster anywhere around the league. They don't have, but you have to get an offensive line before you get a running back. So you got to put your whatever assets you have, into getting an offensive line, because these guys are done.
And to add on to that, the main problem is that will require a shift back to the old offense, which is something Haslam will never let happen.
Yeah, and look, you look at the 2020 footage, and you say to yourself, God, we thought we had it bad then, and there's arguments about Baker Mayfield from on to 2021 and all that.
There was.
But the 2020 footage looked like a team that was running a system and was capable of running a system and was using what they had. Not that Baker was going to be an all-world quarterback, but they were moving him out of the pocket so he could see, because he was short, and that he wouldn't get his passes batted down. In 2020, he was in much better physical condition than what he was later on. And the receivers, I mean, you can sit there and say, well, God, OBJ was a cancer, and so was his father. And okay, I get that. But the talent level of him and Landry on the same field together was far, far better than what we have now. So when you look at those films, it's like you start pining for the old days. That's how bad we are now. It just
that was the high water mark, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the system, I think, got figured out to some degree, and I think the way football changes rules, the NFL does, that it changes the types of offense you could run. And I think Stefanski's a one-trick pony, and I think that Haslam is a zero-trick pony. And it isn't the team that doesn't deserve a new dome in Brook Park. It's that it's going to happen, but it's 8 to 9 years away. And I'm 67 years old. I'm not going to be talking about this when I'm 75, 76 years old, God willing, if I'm still with you. I'm not going to be talking about that. I don't really care about Brook Park, Ohio. I really don't. And what it means to the economy of blah, 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 blah. Because the economy of Ohio, I lived in Ohio. I lived in Ohio in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. And I've come back. I'm up there every summer. And the economy in Ohio isn't healthy. And I don't know. It's just Jimmy saying he can squeeze money out of that economy. That's all the dome means. It doesn't mean anything else.
Wow.
They're not building it here anyway.
Not building it where?
In Ohio. I think this is all going to end with Haslam moving the team out of state.
Well, I hope. That way it would be easy for me to make a decision, If they played in a dome, the jet stream won't affect Winston's passes. That's not what affects Winston's passes. It's his judgment.
Wow.
Nothing about a dome that's going to correct his judgment.
They could change the air conditioning to point one direction,
And the Browns are now 5th in the draft after the Jets win.
Does Brian Daboll still have a job?
Yes, for now.
He shouldn't, because he's awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we can bring him back. He get us.
What's shocking about this whole thing is that our recent success has actually been better than the Jets.
Well, yeah. But it doesn't matter. They're going to make money. The NFL accepts that, it's like when the announcers on the game today, when there was that goofy play where I'm not even sure which second, third string defender it was, went up with the receiver, and the ball bounced upwards, and their receiver caught the ball. And at first they thought it was going to be a completion, but the ball hit the ground, and it was an incomplete pass. But their comment was, And that's the way it is. Everything goes right for the Chiefs and goes wrong for the Browns. And it's like, there you said it.
Craig Olsen.
There you said it. It's the history of the NFL. Everything goes wrong for the Browns. So if you think a loser like Haslam is going to be able to pull them out of that mire, you're absolutely mistaken. Talking about an impossible job, you'd have to start building up the confidence of the community, of the players, and you'd have to find the talent and the personnel who'd want to come to Northeast Ohio with the bad history that the organization has. Very, very difficult.
Well, the Guns were able to turn the Indians around and build a nice stadium. So it can be done. It has happened. But whether it can be done in 2025, I doubt it. 1994 was a lot different era than it is now.
Yeah, and I agree that Judy turns out to be a good pick so far, but he's going to lose interest like Amari Cooper did. Yeah. You have to understand how all of this plays out. You sit around and you see this for a couple of years in Cleveland, and you just stop trying. And that's what
Dick
happens
Jacobs
to players. Yeah. Can't you see? Can't you see
what that team is doing to me?
Yeah. What Jimmy Haslam's doing to me. Yeah. Marshall Tucker references. Jacob, I do not know an area called Old Brooklyn.
That's where Drew Carey's from.
Oh, is that where he's from?
Yeah, it's north of Parma.
Yeah. I grew up in Canton, and I didn't slum around in the
it's where all the first responders live.
What in the hell happened to Myles Garrett's eye? Because I saw that play and it was strained. It looked like there was no contact
He didn't have a shield in front of him, and so they took that. He chose to play without that, and they poked his eye. That's what happened. Because immediately they put a shield on there afterwards. How's that for a day late and $1 short? Organization is just like totally bereft of any sense whatsoever.
I had my snap, San Juan Creole.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Nick Chubb, but I will feel worse for Nick Chubb if he continues to try to play football. Because you don't need, Winston's Lord to come down and tell you, if you can
why didn't Winston's Lord save Nick Chubb, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact is that we knew coming in that it was an unlikely turnaround for Nick, and he's a guy who doesn't quit, but he should. He should just drop it and go on with whatever life, brings for him. He's like Joe Thomas was, just the example of a warrior, an example of a player who always gave his full effort, never gave a problem to the community or to the organization, never had a bad thing to say about teammates. All the things that we don't like about Deshaun Watson and half of us don't like about Baker Mayfield. They just open their fucking mouths. Nick Chubb and Joe Thomas were gentlemen. They played hard, and they were really good at what they did. And that's all you can ask for as a fan. And I miss players like that. So, and this again, obviously, there's some people who just don't get it, so I'll have to punch them out of the comments. We're not talking about religion or race or anything like that. And the fact is, Deshaun Watson, whether you're black, purple, orange, or whatever, what he did was unsavory. His character definitely deserves to be under question and under fire, and he isn't the same talent that he was when he was in Houston. So don't need him. So There's that.
I didn't even watch this game. I watched the Bengals game.
So you decided to go south.
Yeah. And these 1 p.m. games all sucked anyway.
Yeah. And I got to get off here because I got to walk my doggy Topaz. He wants to be set free before it gets dark outside. But I don't mean to be unduly negative about things, and I'm beyond the point of screaming and yelling and all of that. It's just obvious what the problem is, and it's not a quick fix. And thank you. I just am here to say what there is to be said. Yeah, if you want to jump on the podcast, feel free. Anyone who wants their voice heard on the podcast, we always offer that opportunity, an open link. Very few people take us up on that. And hey, El Presidente, what's the temp? Man, it was 80 degrees today, and nice breeze. And I was out riding like 9-10 miles on my trike. It's a recumbent trike with 2 wheels in the front. It's called a tadpole design. And I was riding all over the place. Very nice weather here. Yeah, a lot nicer than it looked like it was on the lakefront, which we know that when you see that kind of rain, the cold is what I remember from Northeast Ohio, when you were up there. That I remember watching Indians games in the spring. When it would get like that, it was cold. I mean, you would bring what you thought was an adequate layer based on what the air temperature was, but no, it always felt 15, 20 degrees colder than what the thermometer said.
Whip around and you'd be sitting in the shade and it'd be just like awful. Yeah.
I mean, here's what I got. Okay, there's some things I know that I got. I got my wife. I got my doggy Topaz. I got my trike for exercise, and that's unfortunately both of my parents passed away, and I have a brother that refuses to speak to me these days. So you count the blessings that you have, and this podcast was a blessing to start this up. It really was, because I was having some panic attacks it turned out to be medication related, although we didn't know that at the time. And I wanted to do something that would take my mind off of all that. And that's when I decided to do a Northeast Ohio sports podcast. So I know what I got, and I'm grateful for what I have. And I'm not going to sit there and be a shill for Jimmy Haslam. I'm not going to do what Cleveland.com does and incite people. That isn't what this is about. It was always about winning. And, I'd like the Browns to be a better football team. And it's going to require the kind of surgery that Jimmy Haslam is not up to. And so it is. And I keep my cool and ride out the season and do the best I can. And that's it. All right. I'm done because I got to get the dog out. And I see my signal is dropping down.
Yeah, your signal did something weird a minute ago.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what is causing. There's something with Spectrum. It wouldn't be the first time, believe me. But thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, David. Thanks, Moose.
No problem.
Tony the Calf, thank you. I appreciate everybody who supports the program, and I wish it were better. But, hey, there's a couple games left in the season. We'll get a good long look at DTR scrambling for his life and being carried off the field. I don't know. Don't know who's behind him.
The next game,
Bailey Zappi.
Oh, there you go.
Or Frank Zappa, where the fuck? I mean,
yeah.
Probably you're not playing Frank Zappa, but
yeah. Bobby Brown.
Yeah. So
the game's on Thursday, isn't it?
What?
Isn't the game Thursday?
Yeah, you're probably right.
They moved it.
Oh, when is it?
It's going to be Sunday now.
Oh, thank God for that.
Oh, that's right. They moved that.
They moved
Because
moved
nobody
them
wants
out
to
because
watch
we're
the
horrible.
Browns.
Yeah, we've
They
got
They actually moved it.
Browns,
repositioned out of
Bengals.
Thursday Night Football.
Browns,
And you want to
yeah.
know, and Al Michael said, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes.
Yes, I don't have to
call a Browns game. Yeah, it's like,
Well, how about the Sunday night game in 2 weeks? Is Dolphins at Browns? Who's gonna want to watch that?
No,
Sunday night
they gotta
football
get rid of
prime
that
time.
too. No,
Oh,
Yeah, fuck the Dolphins too.
they're awful.
and truth shall set you free. Long story, but it had nothing to do with me.
Personal story.
Yeah, no. I have tried on multiple occasions to reach out, but it's there are some things that you don't control, so you just learn to live with them, and that's one of them. But yeah, I love my brother, and I love my mother and father, and but they say that if you don't outlive your parents, then you got shorted on your life. So I'm lucky to still be alive. That's the way I look at it. So, all right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm going for a doggy walk with my friend Topaz, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and back again tomorrow on the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
good.
Cavs.